Welcome to today's lesson, which is the second in PC repair and maintenance for A+. Today's lesson is a continuation of chapter 1, which we started looking at last time. Basically, this is an overview of the PC hardware and the classification of different components. So let's quickly go to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, last time I gave you the rationale for this course, that this course is intended to equip you with the necessary knowledge and the skills to be able to maximize the benefit of using computers, but also to enable you provide the basic technical support that other computer users need from an IT person. And I explained that CompTIA A+ is the entry-level qualification for in the IT industry. It's a course which introduces you to just a wide range of ICT technologies and equip you with the necessary skills to be able to build on as you upgrade your skills or specialize in different fields in IT. So the need for the use of computer has increased with a widespread use of computing devices. A lot of people are doing work, they're doing work, entertainment, with the help of ICT technologies. Most of the aspects of our lives have been affected by use of computers. And so it has become necessary that you are very proficient in your knowledge and computer skills for you to get the best benefit from the use of computers. In this session, we have two things that we're focusing on: the basics of computing and the computer systems, and the main parts of the computer system. I'll quickly scroll through this to go to where we had ended. Or maybe I can just give you a quick recap. When we're talking about computer systems, we should have in our minds that a computer system is different from most other systems in the sense that it tends to implement logic or some kind of reasoning. And because of that, it tends to behave more intelligently than other devices. Now, this is because a computer system is made up of two components. There are the physical parts, which we call the hardware, and then we also have the parts which are not physical. The parts which control the hardware, which we refer to as software. Let me just confirm that I'm recording this for the sake of those who joined last later. Okay. So we talked about these two components that make up a computer system, the physical or the machinery or the mechanical component, which we call hardware, and the instructions that control the physical part, that is the software. And we say that computer software is classified into different types. First of all, you can have what is called the system software and the programming application software, the programming software and application software. And I say that the system software, we're talking about the operating system, essentially, the software that works in the background to control and coordinate activities on the computer to establish an enabling environment for you to be able to work. The programming software, this is the software that IT personnel are going to use to write new computer software. And we have been looking at SQLs. That's, in a sense, a programming language, although it's a very high level language, but it gives you an idea of what programming languages are. Application software, this is the software that ordinary computer users will use to perform a given task. For example, you want to make a birthday card for someone, you need software that will allow you to be able to you need software that will allow you to be able to combine pictures, words, and do it in a colorful way to make it interesting, to make it look attractive. That software that you are using to make that birthday card or a wedding card, that is application software. Or you are preparing a report, you are typing paragraphs and putting tables and putting references and so on, table of contents. The software that you're going to use to do those tasks, that is referred to as application software. But software is also classified as in terms of how it is acquired. So there is what is called general purpose package software or off-the-shelf software. This is the software that you can walk into a shop, a computer shop, and buy off the counter. Then there is also custom-made or tailor-made or bespoke software. This is software normally used by large organizations where they will go to a software development company, and this company is going to send its own IT people, software developers, who are going to sit, analyze what is needed and how it can be done. Then they are going to write the software that will meet the specific needs of that client. So when we look at computer software, we are talking about software such as operating system. And I explained that I'll be using the term operating system and system software interchangeably because for our purposes, we are not going to make distinction between those two. They are technically different, but for most purposes, they can be taken as identical. I did give you a number of examples, such as Microsoft Windows, which is still the most popular operating systems used on personal computers. There is Apple's iOS, I with a small I, OS, which is used on Apple computers. on Apple devices, such as iPads. But for laptops and other personal machines made by Apple, they use Mac OS, Mac operating system. Then there is also Android. Android is a popular operating system which is used on tablets and other portable or handheld devices such as smartphones and so on. Android is also similar to another operating system called Linux. Linux is an open source software operating system that can be used on different devices. It's called open source because this software, there are no restrictions on what you can use it for. It's not proprietary software like Microsoft Windows or Mac OS or Mac iOS. When you get Linux, you can even look at the code that was used to create it. You can modify it. You can package it the way you want it and use it in any way that you want. Of course, there are some limitations, like when you have to distribute it, you have to make sure that you also make your code available. That's why it's called open source. Then we talked about the internet, which we said this is the global network of computers which are connected so that they're able to exchange information worldwide. Now, the internet is a network. And on this network, there are a number of services provided. The most popular is web browsing, where you are able to view documents using web browsing software like Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Google Chrome, and so on. Another service that is provided on the internet is electronic mail, where you are able to send mails to other people, just like we used to do using the post offices, but this time you do it electronically. For you to access the internet, you need to subscribe to an internet service provider. That is a company that provides internet services. Here in Zambia, we're talking of companies such as Zamnet, Zamtel, Coppernet, and so on. But also, even now, the mobile phone service providers, they're providing internet. So you can also use their internet for you to be able to connect to internet. And of course, apart from the connection through an ISP, you need web browsing software like Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, etc. Now, today I want to continue where we had left off, and we did look at the main hardware components of a computer system. I want us to pick it up from connectors. We had explained last time that a computer system is made up of different hardware devices. The hardware devices that are connected to the CPU or central processing by means of cables are referred to as peripheral devices. They are peripheral devices. Now, for you to be able to resolve problems or install hardware, you need to be able to identify the different types of connections that are used on different devices and their characteristics. So I'll briefly look at some of the common connectors that you can use with projectors and monitors. The first one is VGA connector. Then there's HDMI connectors. Then there's S video connectors. Then RGB connectors and DVI connectors. So the first one is the VGA connector. VGA, that's a video graphics array. So we're saying VGA as video graphics array. Okay, so this is a very old connector that is used for monitors and projectors. It is still in use even now. A lot of devices are using it for connection. You'll find most of the laptops, the desktops are going to have provision for you to connect VGA cables. Okay. Most of the monitors for desktops that you come across might connect to the CPU housing using VGA connector. A VGA connector is actually a special type of connector which has 3 lines of pins. Okay. It has a unique shape so that you do not mix up the connection. Let me try to see if I can sketch it properly. So it looks like that. Please, if you have a question, just ask. Not the best drawing, but I hope it convey the message. And we have pins in 3 lines. So there are 15 of them. Technically, this is referred to as a DB15 connector, okay? Okay, so this connector, you identify it because of the shape where the one side is shorter than the other side, the parallel side, and the color. Normally, it's a standard that the connector is going to be blue, okay? So that there are no confusions. And the port where you're going to connect it, you're going to have to find the corresponding hose where these 15 pins are going to fit. And there will be screws which you can use to tighten to make sure that it's held in place. This is being phased out because this type of connector is analog. Do we understand the difference between analog and digital? Please, you can unmute your mics I'd like to get input from you.
Hello?
Do we understand the difference between analog and digital, or what is meant by analog? I'm saying the VGA connector is an analog connector.
Hello?
You can't get me.
I can get you, sir. Can you get me?
Yes, I can. You are loud and clear.
Okay. Before you pose that question, I wanted to find out something, Samson.
Yes, yes.
When you said DB15, is it an abbreviation or it's just a name given to that? Because mostly I hear people say DB9, DB15. So that DB, is it just an abbreviation or it's just a name?
Yes. The connectors which have this shape are given letters for identification. There are some which are called DB, others are DE, and so on. Okay, these have meanings, and you can check them out if you want to do that. For example, some console or communication devices will use a similar type of connector, only that it has a different number of pins. So you find that it has 9 pins. Or you find that this is the part where there are holes, the pins are on the other part. Okay. So those letters have meaning to identify them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now the question that you posed between digital and analog.
Yes.
No idea.
Okay. When we say analog, we mean that. Okay, let me go back to. The signal, when it's being transmitted, can be in form of, let's say, electricity alternating current, where it will form a sinusoid wave like that, where if you are measuring with maybe ammeter, you notice that, and if this is the current you're measuring in amps, you find that the current will start from 0, increase to a certain value, then start reducing, come to 0, and then it will reverse the direction and start going in the reverse direction where it will increase until it reaches a certain value, then start reducing until it comes again to 0. And a digital signal is a signal that is used to transmit information, where the signal consists of discrete values. In other words, at each point, you can tell that the value is either this one, or that one. The values do not change gradually. Okay, so when we represent a digital signal, we represent it in form of something like that. So if you're measuring, that could be probably 5 watts or 5 amps, sorry. So the signal at every point will either be 5 watts or 0. That's a digital signal I'm talking about. An analog signal will have a continuous changing set of values, such that at every point, you are going to find that there will be values which are slightly less than it, the value you are looking at, and slightly greater than the value you are looking at. Okay. So if it's a computer system, which is a digital device, the signal used is such that it will take one of the forms. It could be with a voltage, say 5 volts, or there could be no voltage of 0 volts. But if you are using SC, this alternating current tends to the voltage will be increasing and reducing and reversing the directions and so on. So when we are talking about a digital signal, we're saying it's able to transmit discrete, the signal consists of discrete values. I'm talking about this word, discrete. Okay. That is, the values can clearly be differentiated from each other. Unlike in the case of analog, where the values keep changing gradually, there's a gradual change from one value to the other. There are no predefined values, if I may put it that way. That's why for digital signals, they are easily represented by binary digits, which we looked at last time. That is, if this is the standard interval, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see that for this one, where is 5 volts, maybe we can say this is going to be represented by 1, where there is no voltage, that will be represented by 0. So there will be 1 and 1. So we have this as a binary representation of the signal, because this is a digital signal. Now we are saying the VGA is a connector that is used to connect a display device to the computer using analog signals. Now, analog signals have some issues. One of them is quality tends to be limited, and also the use of the signal tends to be limited because of the complication of the analog signals. So for newer display devices, there are newer connectors which are using digital signals, and we'll be looking at some of them in a moment. So the VGA connector is being phased out, is slowly becoming obsolete. A number of laptops and new desktops, they are coming without even a provision for a VGA connector. But they're still quite common, so you need to know about them. The idea of shaping the connector in this way is so that you cannot connect it in different ways. It should only have one way of connecting. Okay. And this is an example. So the things to note about is a VGA connector consists of 15 pins, which are arranged in 3 rows. It's color-coded blue, and it's mainly used for connecting display output devices such as monitors and projectors. One of the newer connectors which has come on the market is the HDMI. By the way, VGA is only for the visual part. It doesn't transmit audio sound. So HDMI is a newer connector which combines the output. The term that is used is multimedia. Multimedia. Basically, this word is made up of two words. Multi meaning many, media. So when we talk about multimedia, we're saying it can transmit information in form of sound, video, and text. So it combines these different forms of output. And so the HDMI has become very, very popular for connecting display devices such as monitors, projectors, television sets. So you find that almost all the computers on the market come with a port for HDMI. That's high definition multimedia interface. Okay. Of course, most of the monitors, computer monitors, are not using HDMI. They are using another port, which I'll be talking about in a moment. But another old connector that you may come across, for those of you who were a bit older or your parents have kept some old household appliances, you may have seen this type of connector on VCR, video cassette recorder. This way, these connectors were used mainly to connect a video player to a display output, such as a television set. These are also, they also conduct electric signals in form of analog, the analog signals. Again, these are literally obsolete. It's very difficult to find them being used. Okay. So on one side, there will be like that, where you can have a hose, and then on the other side, you have pins where you can plug in. They are also used on satellite decoders. Okay. The other type of connector that you may come across is the so-called RGB connector. This connector consists of three cables. And I think I mentioned last time, you can see the colors. These are color codes representing one for sound, video, and for control signals. Again, these were commonly used on VCRs or satellite decoders. They can
Hey, sir.
carry audio and visual sound.
Hello, sir.
Audio and visual sound, yes.
There's an echo coming back. Eh?
Yeah, it's because of your mics are all are not muted, but you can mute them for now if you don't want to hear that. Okay, so this can be found on some television sets, so you can connect maybe satellite TV decoder to a television set. They were a bit more advanced than the S-video connectors, but they are also not very good. Okay. This is one of the new connectors on the market, and this is the DVI, that is Digital Visual Interface. This comes in three formats. There's DVI-D, where D is for digital. There's DVI-A for digital visual interface audio, and DVI-I for integrated. This one is only for digital signals, DVI-D. DVI-A is only used for analog signal. This is used for both analog and digital transmission. Again, you find a number of desktop computers are coming with a DVI port. So you find that you can connect. Let me just show you. I have a card which has this type of interface. I don't know if you can see. So that's the DVI port, okay? So you can have a monitor which has a provision for DVI, and you can put this card into your desktop computer, and then you can connect using this interface. Of course, this one also has a VGA interface and HDMI interface. Okay, so these are some of the connectors that you are likely to come across, especially for connecting display devices such as monitors and projectors. Okay, for when you're dealing with display devices, there are a few terms that we may need to be familiar with, especially when configurations have to be done. Refresh rate, resolution, monitor settings, degassing. Refresh rate is a measure of the number of times per second that a display device pulls in the revised display data. Okay, that's a very technical description. But basically what it is that when a monitor is displaying something, it like draws the picture in lines from top to bottom. And the number of times that it's going to be changing the display, drawing the display, that is called the refresh rate. This is commonly for CRT monitor. On LCD monitors, you don't have to worry about it. The second one is resolution of the device. We said resolution is a measure of how clear a device can display images. It's a measure of how fine the display is on a given device. Again, we say that modern display devices such as monitors and LCD monitors specifically, they come with what is called the native resolution. That is, they are designed to work best at a specific resolution, so you don't need to change them. Second, the third one is multi-monitor operation. Most computers have provision for you to be able to connect more than one monitor so that you are able to have a wider view, or you reproduce the same images reproduced like when you are using a projector. What I'm saying is what is also being projected to the audience. Again, I'll be able to demonstrate those when we have time to have a physical meeting. Degassing is a term that is used. Again, this is in relation to CRT monitors. When the display when we're talking about cathode ray tube monitors, we say that the cathode ray tube monitors are like this. Inside, there is a tube which is coated with some phosphorus compounds on the surface, this side. And then here, there is what is called an electron gun. That is a component which, when subjected to high voltage, will produce electrons which will move at a high speed and strike the surface here. Once where they strike the surface, their impact is going to produce light. Now, this process, because electrons are charged particles, it tends to accumulate electrostatic electricity on the surface. So from time to time, you need to use some mechanism to remove or reduce the electrostatic build on the surface of the display device. Now that process is called degassing. So it simply means eliminating unwanted magnetic field. One way to do it is to use a special cloth which will be dipped into some chemical. Then you just wipe it. That is going to reduce the electrostatic buildup on the surface. I'm running out of time for the first component. Computer systems, like we said, consist of multiple parts. And so far, we have looked at the peripherals, but now we need to look at the components which are found inside the CPU housing or system unit. And these components are the motherboard, CPU, system buses, memory, and storage. And that's what I'll be looking at after the short break. Are there any questions? Quick one. I have less than a minute before I'm disconnected. Or you can think of questions and ask me immediately with Zoom. I'm hoping that it's an overview